Okay. You know, my printer ran out of ink at home and all this kind of stuff. So I was here on a Sunday night at like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, printing all of this stuff out. And what I did was I went through, I'm doing this and you guys can't see it. I went through and I put sticky notes on every single one with like the highlights of the offer. Price, contingencies, escalations, and then I was separating them in like A, B, and C stacks all over my floor. So at least I could have them organized in my brain. Then I came home, I put them all into that spreadsheet so that I could discuss them with my sellers. And what we did was we did a Zoom meeting the next morning. I had shared the screen. We went through each one, talked about them all. I advised as I saw fit, and then they made the ultimate decision as to which one they wanted to take. So what we're going to do today is look at that, those offers. Let me pull it up. Hold on. Give me a hot second. Offers. Okay. Now, share screen. That one. Okay. You guys see it?
Yes.
So, my first column is the initial offer price, right? What type of financing they have, what type of down payment they're doing, if they have any kind of an escalation clause, and what it might be, as well as an appraisal condition that or guarantee that they're providing. I also was looking at occupancy because my clients needed that. And because it was on a lake, some people were asking for additional property or not. So I listed that. I talked about the inspection period, when they wanted to close, how much of an EMD they were putting down, other, anything miscellaneous, who the agent was, and then for some of them, I was trying to tell them what their gross net minimum might be, right? Because there were escalation clauses. So there was a
Sharon.
max and a minimum. Yeah,
What was the asking price, Sharon?
350.
What?
I know.
And they overbid it by 75,000.
They wanted it.
You might say I don't think I priced it low because there's nothing else selling on that lake.
Oh my
The other
God.
houses on that were around it that weren't on the lake were about that price. I mean, people want it. It's low inventory. It was a cute
What
house.
lake was it?
Highland Lake, Hickory Ridge and M59-ish. So, needless to say, my sellers are thrilled, right?
Yeah.
I'm awesome as far as they're concerned. So, let's talk about it. I mean, for anybody who had a chance to look at this, what do you guys think the best one was? Or what do you think made any of these strong? Or if you guys want to start by saying, well, this one stinks, take it out of the mix, let's do that. You know, refer to them
Can I ask-
by the row number.
With,
Sure.
with escalation, what does that entail?
What does that mean?
mean?
So,
what
for
does escalation
instance,
mean?
let's say, I'm looking at one of them. So let's look at number 14, right? Row 14.
Mhm.
They were offering 350, but they were willing to beat any other offer that was provided, and they were willing to pay up to 365. So if I had one for 360 or 364, I don't remember if they were going to beat it by $1,000 or $2,000. I didn't write it down.
Okay.
But that means at a max, they were offering 365, right?
Gotcha.
Depending on
Okay.
what other types of offers we would have gotten.
And then how do you what is your formula that you used for your gross net minimum and gross net maximum?
So typically a seller is going to get between 7.5%, or they're going to pay 7.5% in fees. I always round it up to 8. I'd rather monkey with something a little more round, right? And even at 8%, you're only off by $400, $300. It's not much. So I looked at a particular offer and I said, okay, at a very minimum, based on what their base offer was and whatever they were escalating it to, you would get X number of dollars. You take 8% off of that, and that would be your net. On the
Okay.
top end, if we went all the way to the top of their escalation, take 8% off of that, and that's what you would net.
Okay.
So that's, but you know, and then I started doing that for just a few of them, and then I stopped because it got pretty convoluted, right? Because it depends on which one you pick, and what are we escalating them to, and what aren't we, you know? But it was a good kind of just conversation to have.
Was it a coincidence that a lot of these escalations before 25 met the highest offer?
Yes, a little bit. It was kind of weird. So one of them, full disclosure, number, where is it? Number 2. Number 2 was a buyer that I had. So I would have double dipped it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell them to get to 425, but I did tell them they had to be over a certain number. They had originally wanted to pay $390 cash. So when they knew they had to go that high, they had to get some financing, which is why they have 50% down. But if you look at it, they were also willing, if you go back here to the other, they were willing to make their EMD non-refundable for any reason after the appraisal, and their EMD was $15,000. So if this client would have walked away, my buyer would have very clearly kept the $15,000 no matter what, and then could have gone to another backup offer. So let's start from the beginning. Which one, when you're looking at these, would you say get rid of them, like just quick, so you don't even have to deal with them?
Well, you don't have anything for FHA, so I guess get rid of that one.
You're absolutely right. You're 100% right. Yep.
And the one with the sloppy one with the husband lender.
Yes, see, there's little things that you got to pay attention. When you're picking from this many, you have the ability to be picky, right? And when I look at this offer that I got, she left a ton of things blank, like she just initialed quick, just a couple of the things that she absolutely had to. And then I look at the pre-approval and I'm like, that's a guy with the same last name. He probably referred her. The whole thing just felt too quick and sloppy for me. And if that's a indication of how the rest of the deal is going to go, I don't want to deal with it. So, and they had no appraisal guarantee, right?
Mm-hmm.
400's great, but I had other ones that were offering me more. So move that one out of the way.
Get rid of ones that don't have an escalation clause or an appraisal clause.
Well, depending. Like this one didn't have an escalation, but it was 425. And they were guaranteeing the appraisal. Right?
Number 5.
Number 5, 350.15. Poor guys. They had no idea what they were going to be
Yeah.
up against when they submitted that, right? Who was it? Yeah. It was bare bones. Here you go. Here's a price. We're not giving you any occupancy. We're doing nothing. We're just, here, have $1,500 above list. Okay. No, thank you.
What does the guaranteed appraisal versus non-guaranteed?
So, when a mortgage company is providing a loan, they require to validate the value of the piece of property because that's being held as collateral for the loan, right? So if the offer price, for instance, is $375, the bank has to come in, do an appraisal, and it must appraise for $375. or else they won't cover it. If they come in and say it's worth 365,
Mhm.
there's a $10,000 gap.
Right,
Who's going to pay that gap,
okay,
right? So without a guarantee,
got it,
either the buyer pays more, the seller brings the price down,
right.
they meet in the middle, or the deal falls apart.
So the guarantee is just if it falls below, we'll.
It's,
take
they're
care of the
saying we'll take
balance.
care of it,
Okay,
that you don't have to worry about the negotiation.
cool.
Okay, so what about this one? 355 conventional, 5% down. They're guaranteeing 5,000 above appraisal. So at the most, we're gonna get 360, right? And they're giving us 30 days of occupancy, which is
Right.
good.
How
They
much do
want
your
to
clients
close-
need? How long do your clients need?
Well, they had not even gone out and seen their first house yet
Oh.
to buy a new one. So I didn't know how much they were gonna need. Funny thing is, it turns out that they're like, oh, we can move in with family. We got a place. We don't need anything. I'm like, okay. But
Oh,
that
in that
doesn't matter.
In that case, go with 16. Or is it 16 or is it?
All right, hold on. So let me move this one out of the way then. So I'll get rid of this one. Oops.
Filed it on top.
So you like this one?
I meant 15. That's
15. So they're
Okay.
offering 400 in cash, escalating it to 425, so they'll beat any other offer. There's no appraisal done because when it's cash, nobody has to look at it, right? They offered us 30 days of free occupancy. They did want the boat lift, the dock, and the lawnmower, right? The riding lawnmower. They said they'd do their inspection within the 7 days. They'd close by mid-September, and they were giving us an $8,000 EMD. And that was the agent. Does anyone know Mary Jo Hahn?
Name sounds familiar.
Mary Jo used to be the team leader for Perna.
Oh,
She left a little bit before Austin, because Austin replaced her, but he didn't have anybody for a while. She now is the team leader for the BOMA group in Ann Arbor. So for me, I know her. I know she's trustworthy. I know what cloth she's cut from. You know what I mean? That's a measure of security. To top it off, she called me while she was presenting the offer, because she told me before she came and saw it, I've got a cash buyer. Tells me it's actually for her.
mm.
She wants to buy a summer home. And I'm like, okay. But I had to divorce myself emotionally from that, right? Because that's not my job. So right now, 15 looks pretty good, right?
It's a strong offer.
15 is a strong offer. So here's another one. 407, which is not much lower. Conventional, 10% down. They're guaranteeing the appraisal no matter what. So you know it's 407. They're giving you 60 days of free occupancy, 7-day appraisal, $10,000 down. That's pretty good,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? 355, $10,000 escalation. We're getting 365, nothing, no occupancy.
No.
So at this point, you start to see what starts to separate itself, right? How about 350? But look,
Up to
they're
14.
escalating themselves all the way up to 425, but they're not guaranteeing any appraisal.
Mhm.
So that's one of those offers that when you see 425 on the top, it's like, oh, look how much they're offering me, right? It's made to like impress you.
Mhm.
But the devil's always in the details. You can offer me 500,000 for that house, but if you're not guaranteeing an appraisal, it doesn't matter to me, because as soon as the bank comes back, we're going to start renegotiating.
Yeah.
Some people do things like that just to get you to take it off the market, counting on the fact that they're going to renegotiate with you later. Or maybe they're going to try and nickel and dime you on the inspection,
Section, yeah.
right? So you got to be careful. So let's see, who was that agent?
Could it also be an inexperienced agent that doesn't know about the appraisal thing?
It
or-
could be. And look, it was contingent on the sale of another house.
Mhm.
See you, bye.
Mhm.
I've got something else that's going to give me more money, is guaranteed, and it's not contingent. So although I love your 425, the rest of it doesn't hold water, right? Let's go back here, 355. They're not giving me anything. They're giving me 2 weeks of occupancy. You're like, okay. See, and because these people don't know what the other offers were that were coming in,
Mhm.
although I'm telling you, it was 2 full days of go and show, and there were cars lined up. So everybody that went to go see that house knew that everybody was going to see that house.
So how did the other people know that it was up to 425?
No, you can't.
Then how did they know to put 425 in?
Highest and best. What is your client willing to pay?
Hmm.
What are they approved to pay? What do they think this house is worth? When people say highest and best, they're not necessarily going to tell you what you have to beat.
Okay.
They might
Well-
give you a hint, but when you're dealing with almost 20 offers, it's a little hard,
Mhm.
right?
What did the house appraise at?
It's a cash deal. We didn't have to get an appraisal.
Mhm.
Oh, but guess what? Everybody else on that lake loves them because as soon as it closes,
Oh, yeah.
everybody's comps are going to go up. And you can bet I'm sending a letter to everybody on that lake.
Yes.
So I also had somebody else call me off. Was it on Zillow? I don't remember. I had a woman call me from North Carolina who's an agent in North Carolina, and her daughter lives in Milford. Her daughter's best friends live on the lake. They've been wanting to get on that lake forever. If you can get us this house, we'll pay cash and then you can list hers. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Wow.
But they only wanted to offer 340. And I was like, no. Yeah, but you can list ours. I appreciate that. But my job for my client
Mhm.
is to get them the best that they can. I'm not going to tank them so I can list a $400,000 house in Milford,
Mhm.
you know? So that's where I'm not going to say I lost sleep over a couple of these things, but I did have to sit back and ethically think and say, I need to be able to sleep at night and know that I did what was best for my client, even if I could have gained a little something. Right? And I was super transparent with everybody, probably too transparent to a degree, right? Especially with one of those offers that was my other client. Okay, so here's another one. 350 conventional. They're only going up to 365. They're not giving us any, or 30 days of occupancy. They're going to go away. All right. I'm going to wait for that one till the end. Here's another one. 360, no escalation, 7 days.
Mhm.
They were giving a $25,000 EMD, which is pretty nice.
Wow.
Means they were serious, but still at 360, unfortunately, that's not going to work. All right, I'm just going to move this one up.
Do they get their deposits back?
Well, you don't actually turn your deposit in until offer acceptance. So let's see.
What do they get?
365, they were willing to escalate to 425. They didn't say 425, they said they would pay 75. Yeah, so they said they're willing to pay 75 over appraisal. So they had cash. So
And
they're
putting
offering
that-
365. So really potentially it could have been 365 plus 75,000,
Mhm.
That's what I was thinking.
right? But we don't know. Actually, I have to look at that one.
Yeah,
It's-
because
That
it
would've
could,
been 435.
Wait, it might have only been escalated to 425. Trevor, so this is interesting. So this guy Trevor works for the BOMA group in the same office as Mary Jo.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, he's also escalating to 425. Do you think that he knew did he catch on that you guys were putting an offer on this house? She was like, no. And I'm like, okay. Because he's one of the other ones, right? That went up that high. 365, okay. The offer was for 365. They were willing to pay $1,000 over any other verified offer up to 425. So 425 was their ceiling. Also guaranteeing appraisal up to 75 over, but 425 was always the ceiling. Right?
Okay.
So it's still a good one,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
It's still good. We'll put this with the good ones. 375, they're not guaranteeing anything. They have no escalation. I can get my clients more than that. Right? Let's see, who's that one? That was some guy from Coldwell Banker. This one, 380. No guarantee. It says Allison. Allison is a friend of a friend who, a couple weeks before COVID hit, asked me to show her a lake house a couple times that she was thinking about buying as an investment. Told me then that she was thinking about listing her house. I was kind of courting her. And all of a sudden I get a text from her in the middle of all this mayhem that she says, oh, I just saw this house. I didn't realize it was your listing. My friend took me to go see it. We're going to write an offer. And I was like, I didn't know you had an agent. Oh, he's been showing me around for a couple years. And I thought, wow, that's pretty shitty. Because if I had sold her a house in March and listed her house after this other guy's been showing her around for 2 years,
Mhm.
I was like, meh. So I kind of, that like gave me really bad vibes.
Yeah.
Plus it was 380, right?
Hey, Sharon.
Yes.
I know one of the things that Matt, when he did this with his multiple offer situation,
Yep.
he had the lender. Did you consider the lenders as well?
Um,
I mean, I know you accepted a cash offer, but
Yeah, when I
But-
got to the top ones, I did. First,
Okay.
I just kind of filtered them out, right? Because I had to choose something to start filtering them with. But yes, absolutely. I actually accepted an offer on another one of my listings, like, I don't know, maybe a month ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, of which the first offer fell apart because of their lender. So when I got the second offer, I didn't recognize the lender. I called Kelly Belcher, my own lender, and said, do you know these people? She's like, no. So I called the agent. I said, we will take your offer, but you've got to go with somebody else. And she's like, I don't know who they picked either. I'll send them to mine. And it was Sean Presnell with Academy. I don't know if you've seen him online. He does a ton of work. I was like, I know his name. I see him all over the place. I'm fine with that. And it just went into underwriting yesterday. So yeah, lenders matter, you know? All right, so this one right here, this one was very interesting. I have never seen an escalation clause on an appraisal. And this was actually the very first offer I got. I was in here by myself on a Friday afternoon and I banged on David Fisher's door because he was the only one in the office. And I go, I've got to tell somebody about this. And he goes, what? I said, and I'm sorry, because I go, you're the only one here. And he goes, thanks a lot. And I was like, no, that's not what I meant. But I want to read the verbiage to you. All right. They said, and then I sent it to Pete. I'm like, is this for real? This is a good tool. Okay. Purchaser to pay $10,000 above highest offer up to $425. Seller must supply a copy of the highest bona fide offer. Fine, right? In the event that the appraised value comes in below the purchase price, purchaser agrees to pay up to $15,000 over appraised value, not to exceed the purchase price, right? So let's say we escalated them all the way to 425, just to be simple about it. And if it appraises under, they're willing to pay 15,000 above appraised up to 425. Furthermore, purchaser will escalate the appraisal gap guarantee clause by $5,000 above the highest offers appraisal gap guarantee up to 30,000. So if somebody else was giving me an appraisal guarantee of 20 grand, they would bump it up to 25. If somebody else was giving me a $25,000 appraisal guarantee, they'd give me up to 30. I've never seen that written down anywhere. And I thought, this is brilliant. David took a picture of it. He goes, I'm writing an offer right now. I think I'm going to put that in there.
I know. That is actually good. And
And then-
I probably was thinking that you'd probably still be in a multiple
Yeah,
situation with
right?
a similar clause.
right. And I called this agent. I told them I received their offer, and I was like, I have to tell you, that was brilliant. Just, they probably thought they were going to get it when I said that to them. And she goes, it was my buyer's idea.
Wow.
I was like, that's awesome. So this is an agent out of Remerica in Brighton. So
What's her name?
her name is Jen Webb. So I have 400,000 conventional, 7 days of occupancy, but it's contingent, right? So I don't want to monkey with that when I've got 5 other offers here that are just as good and not contingent on anything.
So is contingent with anything, like whether they need to sell their home or,
It means it's
inspection or
contingent on
whatever?
them selling their present home,
Okay.
right? Okay, so these were the decent ones, right? Whoops, yeah. Which
What
are,
about the number 2?
oh, I forgot about this one, sorry. This was the one that I brought, which was 425, 50% down, and a $15,000 non-refundable EMD after the appraisal. So, how would you guys, cash is king,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it would be king in this one because the amount is par with all the other offers. Because sometimes you'll take cash even if it's less, because you know you don't have to deal with appraisals or any of that kind of stuff. But here we have so many appraisal guarantees that cash didn't necessarily hold that much weight, except that it can close faster. It's more assured, you have to deal with underwriting. What if your buyer gets rejected? All sorts of weird things can happen when you get banks involved. So, talk to me. What do you guys think? What would you advise your clients?
That's crazy right there, what I'm looking at.
I
I
know.
need to sell my house is what I need to do.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing negative, if you will, of the cash offer,
Yeah.
comparing to the other ones that I can see, is the closing date. We're still shooting for mid-September,
Yeah.
and everybody else is, the second one in the list is mid-September, and the other ones are close, but they're sooner.
Yeah. So these offers came in August. I think it was, let's look. We made our decision on the 3rd. So given the way everything is going on right now, do you think that a bank is going to be able to close you in less than 30 days today?
No.
Probably not.
No. There's so many refis and so many things going on.
Oh.
So, and I'm okay with that. And I get it. So if they gave us that, I'm not going to make my decision based on the closing date.
Right.
I'm going to assume in my mind it's going to get pushed out a couple weeks. right? I don't want that to be the only thing.
Well, in addition to that, since you're looking for possible occupancy, the later closing could actually be of value.
Correct. Gives them more time to find a house. That's absolutely right.
Well, but you did say they
They
said
don't
they
need it.
could just move into with their family.
You're right. In their case, it turned out that they didn't necessarily
Turns
need it, but Tammy's right
Yeah,
in
It-
another instance that it would give you more cushion.
It's never fun to move twice.
No, that's true.
So,
She's moved a lot,
I just,
I've moved a lot. It's never fun to do it twice.
a lot. What was it? You haven't been anywhere longer than, what was it, like
4 years.
years? Yeah, she's moved a lot. Like with her family, like moved everybody all over the country.
oh my God.
But no,
I-
we get her.
My
ahead.
biggest thing is with these multiple offers, again, the lender would probably be, if your seller is okay with considering financing, then I would say, okay, well, now let's figure out which lenders you feel more comfortable that will get to the closing table, in the easiest, smoothest fashion.
Yep. So
know.
I'm missing one. Why am I? Oh, no, I'm not. Okay, so
Which
Let's
one's
see.
Mary Jo's one?
the
Which one is
cash
it?
one, cash.
Number
The one at the top? Okay.
Yep.
I thought there was
So-
more than one cash offer. That's why I was asking.
Here's
So,
Jen.
the
Trevor.
the 390 was would
quick.
have been cash, but they had to go to 425, so they needed financing to get to 425. I
Right.
think is
So I'm guessing, I mean, obviously you know this agent, but if you didn't know them, you'd be getting some sort of proof that they had the money available.
Well,
right?
I did ask her for proof of funds.
Okay.
To make sure that she could pay for that. And she did send that to me.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, because even though I know her, still.
Right.
you
Right.
never know.
so how did the one that you brought to the table, how'd they feel when they found out that they lost on the offer? Were they upset with you because of the fact that,
They were disappointed. They thought they had it in their pocket. Right? Because
They were so close.
and I told them what the difference was, and they're like, well, I can't do more. Like, and I was and that was part of the whole thing ethically, that I wanted to know I was doing the right thing. I was over the top, and I told them, my responsibility to you is this as a buyer, and my responsibility to them as a seller is this. And I hope you can respect that I need to do the right thing for everybody. And so this is what I can tell you and divulge, and this is what I can, and they're like, no, I respect that. I was like, okay.
okay,
I don't know if they're gonna,
well, buyers
but
then.
they're also the types that are just going to the listing agents and seeing to get the best that they can get. Because I was like, well, let's find you something else. They're like, no, we'll be okay. All right. It would have been nice to double dip it, but so I don't think I printed out all the financing for all of these because it was too much paper. But let's say all the lenders were good. Let's assume
And I
that.
go with cash.
That's what they did.
Cash is
They
king.
went with cash. It was between mine and the cash one. That's what it came down to at the
So
end.
let's pretend that the cash one wasn't there, so
Good
that
idea.
we can kind of delve into the nitty gritty of how do you pick between the other ones.
That's a good
then.
idea. Okay. Well, number 9 is guaranteeing up to $30,000. Well, number 5 is guaranteeing the appraisal period, right?
Period.
Plus a
So-
50% down payment.
Right. So even though these guys, super clever, escalated their appraisal guarantee, if it's still only appraised at 380, we would have only gotten 410. Right?
Mhm.
These guys are guaranteeing it all the way to 425. And they're putting 50% down.
So is the number 6, but they gave less occupancy, or am I reading that wrong?
Nope. That's right. That's right. Again, though, we're dependent on the appraisal. So their guarantee is up to a certain amount over the appraised value,
Up to
not a guarantee of a
425.
certain price. Now, I'm sure it would have appraised at 350, which would have given us the 325, but
Mhm.
it's still not a guarantee, right?
Yeah, appraisers are not.
Yeah. And who was that?
So if it appraised for 350 for number, oh, there we go.
Say that again, what?
So for number 6, so if it appraised at 350, they would still would have offered 425, or they would have paid the 350.
Let me read it. I'm pretty sure it would have been the
It's
425.
saying up to 75 over.
Trevor, hold on. So this is the other guy that was from the BOMA group. They will beat any offer by $1,000 up to 425 and guarantee up to 75 over. So if we had them up against number 4, right? If it was 4 versus 6,
Uh-huh.
I would have gone to number 6 and said, hey, I've got a bona fide offer at 425. Are you going to meet it? Let's say they beat it by $1,000. If they, even though they capped themselves here at 425, let's say they said, I'll give you 1,000 more. 426. I would have to have it at least appraised at 351 to be able to get my 426, which it probably would have, right?
Yeah, probably.
Right. It's just one of those gambles, right? Let me read exactly how he wrote it. Because that's
How do
my
they-
chicken scratches.
Do
Where's
the
special?
lender pick the closing dates?
We try to guide the closing date, but ultimately it's through the underwriting that it's really picked, right? I'm looking for that special condition. So I can read exactly how he wrote it down. The legal description. $365. Oh, buyer agrees to pay $1,000 above highest verifiable, non-contingent, concession-free offer up to $425. Right? So that's good. Purchaser agrees to cover any deficiency between the sales price and the appraised value up to $75,000. So it's not like an escalation of appraisal, it's just a flat out 75 grand. Up to 425.
So that little note that he put that he would beat any other offer kind of takes the highest and best offer and gives him something in his
An
pocket
edge.
where he can
Yes.
continue to negotiate
Well,
a little bit.
because he capped it at 425, but I could have gone back
Right.
and said, will you bump it up a couple more grand? You know, I could have asked him. But it is a way of it's like eBay.
Yeah.
It's exactly like eBay, right? Remember when eBay first started? People were trading like Hot Wheels. I used to work with a guy that was a Hot Wheels collector at a computer company. And he taught me how eBay worked and how to don't put your thing until the last minute so the other guy doesn't have a chance to overbid you, and you have your cap and all this stuff. It's the same type of thing. So at the end of the day, this cash one was our winner chicken dinner. And it's funny that they had so many great things to choose from, right? So there's tools here, right? And how to use escalations, both on the price side and the appraisal side. Or you see other things that make an offer strong, right? That's why it's so important to always call the agent. What else do they need? Right? The ones that didn't bother asking me anything and just threw a number down on a piece of paper and just sent it to me, it was no good.
So
Right?
when you go back to the person who basically gets the accepted offer, do you just have them rewrite the purchase agreement with the same terms, but the purchase price is at 425?
Yeah, we just took the original offer, crossed out the, right here. Yeah, see, we just, whoops.
You just cross it out
Oh,
and put 425
Put
and
the new
initial?
price on it, initialed it, and everybody's good to go. So, let me tell you, then we had the inspection. If you guys are aware, especially like the Oakland County Lakes area, there's a lot of like radon hotspots, right? And one house can have bad radon and the one next door can be perfect. This one was bad. The average, okay, so EPA standards is 4 parts per million or lower when they do a like 72-hour or 48-hour test. This one averaged at 12 and had a peak of like 22 at one point.
Oh, man.
So Mary Jo said, I'm really nervous about that. I need to think about it. I'm thinking, oh my God.
No.
But they decided they want to do it anyway because it's common in that area, but they asked us to install a radon mitigation system. She wanted to do the research and tell us exactly what kind of system to put in so that she feels comfortable with it because the levels were so high, and we said, that's fine. And it's turns out it's pretty much the same, except there's like an upgraded fan. It's called a premium fan, which only costs $75 extra. So for $950,
Oh.
we on August 31st are having a radon mitigation system put in. She's also requesting that it then be retested to make sure that it is taking care of the issue, which the radon company does. They supply you with a test because they don't test their own work because that would be a conflict of interest. You put the test in your house, it reads it. If it's not working, they come back out on their own dime and do whatever work they need to do to make sure that it is mitigating the radon as it should. So round numbers, $1,000 for the radon mitigation, and they asked for $5,000 decrease in cost because there was some stairs that needed replaced on the outside, and the retaining wall is starting to bow out down by the boat dock, which we knew. And my clients were like, that's fine, because they got way more money than they had anticipated at the beginning. And they're like, for $420, see ya, I'm out, I'm good. So we're just waiting for the system to go in and then for it to get retested, and we should still be okay with closing. The closing date I got a little nervous about because I called a couple of places and they're like, oh, I'm 4 weeks out because everybody's busy. But I had my homeowner call anyway, and he goes, they scheduled me for the 31st. And I was like, perfect. So it worked out.
Nice.
Great. Good job.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And after driving, they want to buy anywhere on the 23 corridor between East Brighton and Fenton. So I was, yeah, see, hi, Michelle. You want to know how many miles I put on my car a couple weeks ago? I showed houses in Linden, Fenton, Brighton, Heartland, and I live in Livonia. And I'm like, I'll see you in an hour. Get in my car. We ended up having an offer accepted last week for a new build in Fenton, and they are super excited about it. And they're with the builder now this morning just to look at some stuff. It was a spec home that's almost done.
This nice area, it's getting
Yeah.
bigger.
Yep. So far so good. What questions might you guys have about any of these tools that some of these agents used or didn't use to compete?
Well, did the agent ask you if it was important for them to keep the boat lift and the?
Yep. Yeah.
Was it important to them?
At the very beginning, before we listed it, someone had asked, or the first day it was listed, and my seller said, I can sell it on the side, like outside of the transaction for $2,000. He didn't want to necessarily include it in the house because he thought he could get more for it somewhere else. When we started getting
Not
offers, she's like, they
knowing.
can have it. I don't want to do that. It's fine.
Definitely recoup the $2,000
Yeah, right?
plus.
But yes, people asked. Yep. So again, it's super important to call and have a conversation.
So when these are written up, you know, you have the standard PA, and there is a section where you can write a little bit of the verbiage. Like, do the people typically say the addendum, where there's like, you know, more space that you would typically, you know, then.
No,
you
these
like-
were all just written. These were all just written on the PA. I mean, it's 3 or 4 sentences. If you feel more comfortable because you want to be clear, then put it on an addendum. That's cool too. I don't think there's a right or a wrong.
And then, but on the PA, refer to.
Correct. Yes. So that it's noted that there's something else
Mhm.
attached to that contract. Any other questions?
So I saw Megan got hers accepted. How did she word hers to compete with all the other folks? Do you know the scoop on that
I
one?
have not talked to her and she's not on here,
Yeah, I'll have to
So I
talk
don't
touch
know.
base with her.
but it sounded exciting and she sounds pretty happy about it.
She should be.
So unfortunately, I don't know. Yeah, I'm excited for her. What did you want to ask?
I was just gonna say for real life purposes
Yeah.
and training, like this was one of the best coaching sessions
Oh,
I've sat in on
thank you.
to see the real life
Yeah,
Mhm.
I,
use of what we've been talking about,
Yeah.
but to actually see it play out for me was very, very
how they
helpful.
compare.
Yeah.
You're welcome. And that was gonna be my next question was, did you guys find this helpful?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Good. I'm glad.
Sharon,
Yes.
I have not a situation, but I have in my, for my buyers, we're going through some water testing.
Mm-hmm.
And we received back from the well and septic, they just tested for arsenic and lead, and it came back high in arsenic. And I guess Milford is an area high with arsenic, I guess.
Okay.
So my question is, okay, so we're also getting PFAS and PFOA. The buyers were really adamant about doing that,
Mhm.
and it's going to take a little longer to get those results.
You need to get an
How-
extension.
Well, on the addendum, I extended the inspection period to 20 days because the company said that they were going to expedite the testing for us.
Okay.
But my thing is like, do I hold off about doing another potential addendum for the water until we get those results back, or do I separate the two tests?
Since you have the extension already, I would just wait.
Okay.
You could give the listing agent a heads up if you want to and say, I just want to let you know that the first report came back and it's high in arsenic, but we're waiting for the other 2 to come back so that we can just discuss it all at once.
Okay.
I would start doing your homework right now on like water purification systems
Okay.
so that when you get that report, regardless of the results, you'll know how you want to move forward.
Okay.
Right? Rather than then saying, okay, now we got to find out how much this costs or that costs.
Right.
Start looking at what the remedies are now. So you're ready to just bounce.
Thanks.
You go to the city or township, like building departments or to get some idea what they,
I would ask the people that did the water test first, if they're local, what do they recommend when levels are like this? What would mitigate it, right?
Yeah, it was the guy
And-
you recommended me.
DNH,
Doctor.
Dan,
Yeah.
or Don from DNH. He's
Yeah.
really good. And he will give you the names of a couple local vendors or service providers that can help you with whatever you might need.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a super good water treatment in my Brighton house, and I can look up the name if you end up not finding anybody, but because the iron levels are really high in Brighton and I'm on a well, I don't have yellow toilets, yellow nothing, plus I have reverse osmosis, so my water's good to go. No smell, nothing. It's awesome. But it was about $3,800.
Yeah, I want to present my buyers with all their options. So yeah,
Okay.
that would be great, Tammy. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll look that up. I just can't, my brain isn't coming up with the
Okay.
name.
We have some
I'll look
time
real
because we're
quick.
still
Still-
testing.
Yeah.
Let's see.
What else? Anything else? Anybody has anything they want to throw out there? We're good?
Mhm.
Got it. And I'm gonna chat you the thing, I think.
You mean Michelle?
Yeah, I'm learning how to do all this Zoom stuff. So cool.
Cool. Okay, so if you guys ever have any other questions about this kind of stuff, I should actually take the time right now before I forget and type a couple of these things up and add them to the that file with different clauses and things that you can use. Did Matt ever put that file up? Do you know?
I haven't seen it.
All right.
looked through
I
it
will-
yesterday.
I'll type up a few of these and I'll add it to the files tab of the coaching drive
Okay.
so that if you ever have questions about how do I write one of these clauses, you can go and copy that. And then it's really just a matter of replacing dollar amounts.
Mhm.
That'd be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
I
very
will.
helpful.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
Okay. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Have a great day.
Great. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
Sharon.
you. There you go. Cool. I'm glad that was helpful.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.